right, we are live. I'll do my little spiel here. Good evening. Welcome to the September 25th, 2024 public hearing. This hearing is being called by the Ordinance Review Committee to provide information and allow public questions regarding the proposed ordinance amendments being brought to the November 2024 ballot. We'll start with some general housekeeping. I don't think this is necessary with this crowd, but we'll say it. In an effort to make sure that everyone is heard, I will call on members of the public to come to the podium. When you're called upon, please step up, state your name and town of residence. We ask that the audience be respectful when someone is addressing the committee and refrain from side conversations. Any individuals who have continuously disrupted may be asked to leave the hearing. Thank you all for attending the meeting, and the floor is open. So, we only have one attendant tonight, folks.
Let's see. Is this good?
Yes.
My name is Stephanie Moore, and I am a Wadley Ponder. I'm at 433 Clarkswoods Road.
Okay.
And I am now an official maniac. I am now a permanent resident. I've been there for 30 years, part-time, but now I'm a maniac. So first of all, I want to thank you for your time. I think this is great. I always was involved in where I used to live too, but
Sure.
so I'm a little late to the party with the ordinances. I know you've been working on this a long time, but I had a couple of questions about your thought processes about the dimensions of the ADU. I'm on shoreline zoning, so it's probably not likely that I can add on to my house for an ADU because I'll probably violate, a shoreline setback. So my option would be to build a separate structure. Well, that would also require a septic, a well, road. There's a lot of site development involved. And I'm thinking 800 square feet, I don't know that that's a viable rental property. And I know that Kennebunk is 1,000 square feet because they had kind of the same considerations. So I was wondering how you came up with 800 versus maybe something more generous like 1,000.
I did some research. I don't know, I won't speak for everybody else, but I know that I personally did some research. I know that Arundel and I believe Waterboro are both 800. We're currently 600.
Yeah.
And I think that just the 800 keeps it smaller and the potential, because as you get bigger, you're getting closer to multifamily. And that's a completely separate part of our ordinance.
Sure.
So, there's more chance of larger family in 1,000 square feet than there would be in 800 feet. And again, I'm just speaking for myself, but anybody else wants to add to that?
Well, what we discussed is that the bathroom doesn't count to the square footage. The cabinetry in the kitchen doesn't count. I disagree with that, but that's the equation that they use. Stairs, I do agree with stairs, but that
what about closets?
Makes the
closets?
Well, in my opinion, if you're cutting out the bathroom, if you're cutting out the kitchen cabinets, then I would, if I wanted that square footage, then I think there's an argument there to say that the closets shouldn't be counted either.
Yeah, well, I would say, because I don't get the cabinet thing at all, but yeah.
The terminology we used was habitable floor space.
Okay, habitable, okay. So that wouldn't include closets. But you understand my point. If you're building a separate structure, I think it's very hard to financially justify that.
I don't disagree, and I think that was actually part of some of the discussions that we had, because you are going into that multifamily once you start getting up in that. And we do have zoning, our zoning ordinance, you can do multifamily. So, it's just about the size of the structure that makes it an ADU as opposed to another single family dwelling on the same property. So if you want to go over that 800, obviously you're just building a second home on your property. And then there's going to be more stuff coming from us as it pertains to multifamily. currently our ordinance reads that you have to have double the acreage and half again as much frontage for multifamily. That stands the potential to change, but it wouldn't change until 2026 because of the way our charter goes.
Mm-hmm.
So we can't do any of those changes until
Mhm.
then.
Yeah, Peggy, she keeps saying if you build another house, it's gonna get expensive. If you put an ADU added to your house
Mm-hmm.
and you add 2 more bedrooms,
Mm-hmm.
chances are you're gonna redo your leach field. Because your
Probably.
leach fields are all based on bedroom size.
But you probably can expand your leach field rather than build a whole new septic, and you're not going to have to add a well,
Yeah.
and you're not going to have to add a new driveway and a new
No.
electrical service.
Yeah.
You know, so the site development costs, I think, are going to be prohibitive at 800 square feet. 800 square feet is, you know, a 1-bedroom, maybe 2-bedroom house. I mean, 800 square feet is pretty small for a house.
It is small, I
I think you
agree.
could squeeze 3-bedroom into it.
Oh, I own an 800 square foot house, so I know how big an 800 square foot house is. And it's actually only allowed to have, well, the town, it's down in Massachusetts, but
If you take the bathroom out, the hallway out, all the closets out, that 800 square feet gets pretty big.
boy, I don't know. But
This
I
hallway,
yeah,
take it out,
yeah.
it's not counting.
I just, you know, I just would encourage, yeah, it's just my opinion, obviously.
Right.
I just would encourage something a little bit bigger that would, you know, if you're trying to encourage ADUs, I guess that's really the question.
Yeah, and
You know?
the state really, we allowed ADUs before LD 2003
Mhm.
came in.
Yeah.
And the state really just came in and said, this is what you
Right.
have to do. And
Well, because there was so much snob zoning that they were trying to increase the
Exactly.
affordable housing, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what they were doing. And I think, you know, it wasn't, the town can put any size limit
Sure.
they want
Oh, sure.
on those. But again, I think for me, again, I was trying to stay away from the argument
Mhm.
that ADUs will increase children in our schools
Mhm.
or more calls from our fire department
Mhm.
or stuff
Mhm.
like that.
You're talking about a 24 by 40 house to get 800 square feet of living, because you're gonna cut out 160 square feet of it.
And I'm not even sure that that's something, if you're building an ADU, I would encourage you to speak with the CEO.
Yeah.
Because I'm not sure that she's gonna do that.
What?
Take up the counter space, closets, all that. I don't know. I think that's something to speak to Becker about.
Yeah.
But, I
Yeah.
think for me, it was really just, you know, we have a lot of calls, fire calls.
Mhm.
I know our schools are maxed out.
Mhm.
And I know that's an issue for a lot of people.
Sure.
But
Sure.
again, trying to find the balance
Right.
where, you know, there's places, there's more housing for
Right.
elderly and
Right.
younger people that can't afford homes.
Well, but to your point with what's going to be acceptable, is that going to be built into this ordinance that it doesn't include closets and
That will not.
stairwells? So now we don't really even know.
No, that is definitely for the CEO,
Yes.
because the ordinance does not say anything about
Right.
that.
Right.
I know the last CEO did, whether this one
Yeah,
does or
so
not,
now
I'm
it's going
not
to be
sure.
dependent upon who's the CEO of the year.
I do think it's about interpretation, and I believe there's something in state law about it,
Mhm.
but I'm not sure as to that. I can't speak, but
Mm.
the way they interpret the state law is,
Yeah.
it might be different
Yeah.
every time there's a CEO, you might be right.
So time it.
Right?
And then my other question was, what was the thinking behind the 35-foot height limit on shoreline zoning?
That's been around forever. That's not something we put in.
changed. I don't think that was a change. we
Yeah.
made.
That's not a change we made. It's been in there forever.
That's in most towns.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, a lot of towns are 35, but a lot of people are rethinking it, particularly when you're talking about, and of course, you're going to deal with your flood zone question too. If you're dealing with wet basements, you know, there is a trend towards
Right.
not doing basements, and the first floor is your garage and your mechanicals,
Yes.
and then you go
right.
up from there,
Yeah.
and that's going to put you probably around 40 feet.
Yeah. I don't know about the 35. I know that that's been there forever and, you know, we'll be starting, you know, looking at the zoning ordinance again. And we have employed the help of Southern Maine Planning and Development Commission.
Mhm.
They're currently working with the Comprehensive Plan Committee.
Mhm.
And then once our comprehensive plan is done, that's when we can really start digging into our zoning ordinance more and looking at some of the stuff that you're
Yeah,
suggesting now.
yeah. Okay, well, that's,
And we welcome you to give feedback. at that
Yes.
yeah,
point.
yeah, well,
Please.
now that I'm up here. now-
Yes, I love that. Come anytime, any of our meetings.
Yeah,
That'd be great.
no, but I really appreciate,
Oh,
you
for
guys doing
sure.
this, you know.
Thank you for coming.
Thanks.
Absolutely.
All right, well, good
Okay.
luck.
Thank you. Cecilia, you have something?
I thought there'd be a lot of people here. So, yeah, Cecile Dupuy from 53 Chapel Shores Road. I didn't attend the last meeting. I wasn't able to come, but I was listening to people's concerns about the owner occupied versus non-owner. And so it's too bad. I can understand both sides and was wondering if there's any way to meet in the middle where it would be, the owner would be a resident in the state of Maine. I don't think it's too late to make a change in what you have there, but I can understand that. And I didn't hear the beginning of that lady's presentation, but I was concerned too about the square footage. And I know you can have walk-in closets and a lot of walk-in closets, a pantry, whatever. And I think that's not considered the living space.
Right, that's what I thought. And I'm not sure, to be honest with you. I'm pretty sure there's something in the state that says, at a state level, that says something
I believe
about
so, too.
habitable floor space.
Right. So it
Oh,
doesn't
it's
count
considered,
bathrooms,
yeah.
doesn't count
Right.
basement,
Right.
doesn't
and-
count closets, right? I think that's all.
But our zoning ordinance definitely does not say that.
No.
And so, I
No.
mean, maybe that's something
But I think
that
that's
we're gonna
always
look
been-
at then.
Mhm.
And I'm sure SMPDC will be guiding us in that process, and if we had that question at that time, they can, fill us in. But I think that the purpose of an ADU really small.
All right.
Just
Yeah.
on the smaller side.
Supposed to be small.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
How is that going to be taxed? Is it going to be taxed as a two-family, or is it going to be, do we know that?
The tax is the same.
Don't know.
So it's
If-
just like an expansion on your
if-
house and not another dwelling unit,
Correct.
which is sad because the town really needs the revenue from,
Yeah.
The-
I don't know. I don't know
I-
anything about
You agree?
that.
I don't know. I think that's an assessor question that is beyond our purview, but I would imagine that if it's an extension of your house, square foot is square foot.
Mhm.
right,
Is it worth more if you put in another septic and another well and another driveway? Probably.
right. You have another kitchen,
Another-
whatever,
another-
and,
Right.
yeah.
So, but if it was attached, you'd have another kitchen anyway.
Right.
So, I mean, I'm sure there's an equation that she has to abide by, but
Right.
that's not our purview.
yeah. So there's a fine line between a two-family and a home with an
Yeah,
ADU.
801 is multi, right?
801 is multi.
801 square feet.
That's the
multi.
dividing
Yeah.
factor, right? And if
Yeah.
it's multi, they have to have the parking space and all of those other restrictions.
Yeah, that's going to be some changes that we don't know about, that we really can't speak to yet because we're, that's 2026 and we're waiting for comprehensive plan. But there are things in the LD 2003 that we still need to change in our zoning ordinance. It's not just ADUs. So
Mhm.
we're going to be looking at all that and get the guidance that we can when it's that time. But again, we won't be voting until 26 on that.
Right.
So this is,
So people understand when they vote now that we already have ADUs in our ordinance. And if it fails, then we're staying at the 650,
600.
the 600,
Yeah.
the 600 square foot. And
Yeah.
that would be the only change, right? Because the parking is a state mandated,
parking was the only mandate
And-
in that
right?
we removed.
So we-
And that we put in the hammerhead, we removed the owner occupancy, and we upped to the 800
Yeah.
square feet. But the parking, yes.
Yeah.
was removed, yeah.
All right, that's all I have.
Don't let me mislead you. Your taxes won't, you pay $12.50 1,000. That will remain the same. Your evaluation will change.
Right.
So that would raise your taxes.
Right, yeah.
But your
Well,
your
that
mill
is the
rate-
evaluation that spikes
Your
it
mill
up.
rate
And if
stays
you
the same.
evaluate it as a two-family, I would think the value of it would be more than a single-family home that has an accessory dwelling unit. New territory would,
Yes, for
Florida.
everybody, for
Well,
everybody.
we would love feedback as we
Okay.
continue down this
Yes,
road.
For
so
sure, for
That
sure.
way it helps us design the policies that town people want.
Laura, would you love to add something?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, so I guess we're done. If we're done, if there's no
We need a
further
motion to
further
adjourn?
comment, I think we'll just say that we're going to conclude the public hearing. Okay?
Yep.
All right, guys.